In the midst of joy, an incredible child shouts, "Mommy!" And the maid reveals a touching secret. The Maplewood Community Fair buzzed with life. Laughter bounced off the cotton candy stands and the scent of fried dough danced in the air. Amidst the chaos, a boy's joyful shout sliced through the noise, "Mommy!" Max, with tousled hair and vibrant eyes, raced toward Samantha, his laughter ringing like the sweetest music. In that moment, surrounded by colorful lights and cheerful chatter, all the long nights she spent waiting tables at Rosie's diner faded into the background. Samantha knelt, arms wide open, grinning ear to ear as Max collided with her, his small body wrapping her in a hug that felt like sunshine breaking through her dullest days. "Look!" he exclaimed, breathless with excitement, "I rode the Ferris wheel all by myself." Tears pricked Samantha's eyes. She was both proud and pained, feeling the weight of her dreams for him. Every late shift, every penny saved, was for moments like these. Then there was Anna, the ever-faithful maid, hovering at the edges of their world. Watching them, her heart swelled and ached. Anna had devoted herself to Samantha and Max, tirelessly cleaning and cooking. Yet, while she smiled, she held a secret, one that could ignite her world yet tie her to the very struggle Samantha sought to escape. In those moments, as families reunited and laughter filled the air, her mind raced with thoughts of the children who felt the sting of inequality. As Samantha and Max wandered through booths, Anna could no longer hold on to her truth. In a quiet, unexpected moment amidst the laughter and clamor, she approached Samantha. The air thickened. "I need to tell you something," Anna stammered, her voice trembling. "What is it?" Samantha said, glancing into Anna's worried eyes. The fair around them faded as if they existed in a bubble, suspended outside reality. "I've been saving money," Anna confessed, each word weighing heavier than the last. "I want to start a scholarship fund for immigrant children." Samantha's breath hitched. The vibrant colors of the fair seemed to drain away, leaving behind a stark reality. She knew Anna worked hard, but this? "Anna, why didn't you tell me? You've been here for us." "I didn't want to burden you. You're already giving so much, but what about those who have less than you?" Anna's voice cracked, revealing the passion behind her dream. Samantha's heart raced. What they shared, their struggles, was deeper than she had understood. A bond formed not just of service and wages, but of shared hopes and dreams, igniting a fire within her that had long been dimmed by life's challenges. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With newfound determination, Samantha understood how interconnected their lives were. As the fair continued around them, they felt a shift, a community spirit awakening. Families began to rally, sharing resources and encouragement for Anna's cause. Laughter mixed with conversations about dreams and aspirations, igniting hope where it was desperately needed, but just when the warmth of unity seemed tangible, whispers of doubt crept in. Would these efforts truly bridge the gaps of inequality? Could they face the deep-rooted issues that separated them? As Samantha and Anna stepped into this brave new world together, uncertainty loomed over them like a dark cloud. But one thing was clear, they would not be alone in this fight. Hope hung in the air, making everything feel possible, yet the question remained, would their courage be enough to change the world for children like Max? The answer rested in their hearts, waiting to be discovered. Samantha took a deep breath, her heart racing with each beat. It was a mix of excitement and fear. She looked at Anna, whose eyes shone with unshed tears, and felt an undeniable connection, like two warriors standing side by side, ready to face whatever came next. "Let us do this together," Samantha exclaimed, determination filling her voice. "We can make a difference. I know other families who would want to help." We can organize something at the diner, fundraisers, bake sales, anything. Anna's face broke out into a radiant smile, and for a fleeting moment, they could forget the weight of the world pressing down on them. The chaos of the fair surged around them, but all Samantha could see was the glimmer of possibility. Max twirled in circles, his laughter soaring, blissfully unaware of the challenges that stretched beyond their joyful day. "Thank you, Samantha. I never thought you would," Anna began, but her voice caught as emotions bubbled to the surface. "I believe in what you're doing," Samantha interrupted. "We can create hope for those kids. They need it as much as Max does." As they began discussing ideas, a small crowd gathered, drawn by their passionate words. Neighbors and friends listened, their brows furrowed in consideration. "You're right," a woman said, her voice steady. "We have to do more. Our children deserve a chance." A man chimed in, "Let us make this fair a launching point. We'll sign up to help." The energy in the air shifted, a palpable sense of hope igniting as more voices joined in. Each person brought stories of struggle, their collective experience a flame waiting to be unleashed. Ideas began to flow freely: benefit nights, talent shows, bake-offs, and community gatherings. Yet, there was a shadow lurking in Samantha's mind. Would they find enough support? Was it practical to think they could drive real change? The doubts nipped at her heels, whispering that the world was too complicated, too broken for one small idea to fix, but just then, Max ran back, clutching a balloon that danced in the breeze. "Look, Mommy. I named it Hope," he said, grinning from ear to ear. His innocence cut through the murmurs of uncertainty like a ray of sunshine. Samantha knelt beside him, pushing her worries aside. "Hope is a wonderful name, buddy." She smiled, kissing his cheek. "We're going to make sure every kid gets a chance to hold on to their own hope." Just as they turned to rejoin the crowd, a familiar face shouted from across the fair. It was Jude, an old acquaintance from school. He was known for being a standout athlete, but recently his life seemed to take a different path. His eyes flickered uncertainly between the gathering and Samantha, who stood frozen, surprised to see him. His presence sparked a flurry of gossip among the cluster of neighbors who didn't know him well. "What is he doing here?" they whispered. Samantha's heart raced again, but this time it was for a different reason. She knew Jude had faced his own challenges over the years. There was much he could offer, if only he could see his worth beyond the labels others placed on him. Before she could take a step toward him, he caught her gaze and raised his hand slightly. But would he walk over? Would he join this newfound cause that felt bigger than anyone could imagine? As the crowd buzzed with renewed energy and ideas, all eyes shifted to Jude, the tension palpable. Would he step into the light, embrace the challenge, and join Samantha and Anna in their fight? The moment hung heavy in the air, the future of their mission balanced on the edge of a decision. Samantha's breath stalled, uncertainty swirling in her stomach. Jude's face, once so familiar, was now a landscape marked by shadows of past glories and missed opportunities. He hesitated, as if battling an unseen force, and in that silence, a mix of hope and trepidation coursed through her. "Come on, Jude," she whispered under her breath, urging him silently to take a step forward. The crowd buzzed with chatter, excitement building as they shared their ideas. Yet, all Samantha could do was focus on Jude, willing him to join them. The balloon Max held bobbed eagerly between them, bright and vibrant against the backdrop of the fair, representing all the hopes they were trying to cultivate. Finally, Jude's gaze shifted from her to the crowd. He seemed to gather himself, drawing on something deep inside him. I'm in," he said, his voice louder than she expected as it broke through the noise. The crowd turned, surprise etched on their faces. "What?" someone gasped, and a ripple of surprise coursed through the gathering. Samantha's heart soared, and the momentum of that single step shifted the very atmosphere around them. She rushed towards him, a surge of warmth washing over her. "You really mean it?" "Yeah," he nodded, a mix of determination and vulnerability crossing his features. "I've seen what can happen when people come together. I want to help." As Jude joined their small circle, the crowd erupted into applause. Laughter mingled with the sound of clapping, a shared moment of triumph that defied the complexities of their lives. Anna stepped up, her eyes twinkling with unshed tears as she placed a firm hand on Jude's shoulder. "Thank you. We need someone who knows how to organize. There's so much work to do." He smiled then, a genuine one that reached his eyes. "Let us get to it." They all began brainstorming ideas, energizing the crowd around them. Plans formed like fireflies lighting up the night, tangible and bright. The feeling was electric, binding them in a shared purpose. Samantha felt the weight of despair lift off her shoulders for the first time in ages, replaced by a thrilling sense of community building a future together, but in the midst of joy, a child's shout hit the air like an arrow. "Mommy!" It was a frantic voice, breaking through the jubilant buzz. Samantha turned to see a little girl running toward them, tears streaming down her face. The girl was lost, panic reflected in her wide eyes. Instinct kicked in. Samantha knelt down, arms open wide. "Sweetheart, what's wrong? I can't find my mom." The girl wailed, her small voice trembling. The crowd's energy shifted instantly, sympathy flooding the air, as they began to look around for the girl's mother. "Stay with me, okay?" Samantha reassured her, taking the child's hand in hers. The little girl nodded, her grip tightening in fear. "Where did you see her last?" Jude asked, already scanning the fairgrounds. As they began to turn their attention to the girl's needs, Samantha felt a weight return to her chest. This was why they were building hope, because when chaos struck, everyone should have someone to rely on. It felt right to be surrounded by people standing together, but would they be able to find this little girl's mother in the throng of laughter and lights? With each passing second, anxiety tightened her grip on the child's hand. Just then, an older woman emerged from the crowd, eyes wide with panic. "Sarah! There you are!" The girl broke free, running toward her mother, and the bittersweet release brought an overwhelming sense of relief. But as Samantha watched the reunion, she couldn't shake the feeling that their fight for hope was just the beginning. What other challenges lurked beneath the surface, waiting to emerge when they least expected it? As Samantha stood wrapped in the smiles and joys of newfound friends, she wondered if they were truly prepared for what was yet to come. With the atmosphere buzzing and their plans taking shape, she couldn't help but feel the winds shifting. What hidden truths would they unearth on this journey toward hope and healing? The moment of relief for Sarah and her mother was contagious. The crowd exhaled as if they'd been holding their breath, and Samantha felt a wave of comfort wash over her. But just as the tension eased, Jude's expression shifted. He observed the blissful reunion, but a shadow clouded his features. "What's wrong?" Samantha asked, her heart starting to race again. "It's just I keep thinking about how easily joy can be snatched away." "The little girl's lost moment could have been so much worse," he replied, his voice low and thoughtful. Samantha nodded. She understood the weight of his words all too well. The fragility of their newfound sense of community was starting to feel like a glass house, and the storms of uncertainty would test it. Anna clapped her hands, pulling the group back to focus. "All right, everyone. Let us make a list of tasks. We can't let fear or doubt creep in now. We've got momentum." With renewed energy, they began brainstorming again. Samantha watched as ideas bounced back and forth, with Jude immediately jumping in to organize his thoughts. It was like seeing a part of him snap back into place, and she couldn't help but smile. Maybe he was right, this was their moment, but as the sun began to fade, a chill began to grow in the air, carrying whispered stories. The crowd had thinned slightly, and the shadows of the fair grew longer. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed from the nearby games area. Gasps erupted as laughter fell silent. Samantha turned toward the commotion, her heart racing again. A tall man stood over a fallen game booth, his hands gripping the wooden edge. "Someone pushed me," he shouted, eyes darting around the crowd. Jude immediately stepped forward. "Hey! Let us stay calm." He called out, trying to diffuse the tension. But it didn't help. A wave of murmurs ran through the crowd. The man began to shove his way through, looking for someone to blame. Samantha could feel the tension rise, her heart pounding in her chest. "Jude, maybe we should," she started, but he silenced her with a steely gaze. "It's okay. Let me handle this," he assured her. Then, he approached the man with confidence, grounding himself in the face of anger. "Listen, sir. Let us talk this out. It was an accident." The man's face twisted with anger, but Jude stood firm. Samantha admired his bravery, feeling a mixture of fear and pride. As the scene unfolded, Samantha noticed the crowd beginning to inch closer, drawn by the conflict. This wasn't just about a knocked-over game. Tensions were bubbling beneath the surface, hidden fractures growing between the fair's attendees. In that moment, Samantha realized that their group was not only building hope, they were also being thrust into the heart of division. Would their newly formed alliance hold under the weight of such a challenge? Max stepped up beside her, an uneasy grip on his balloon. "This isn't good. What if it escalates?" Samantha took a deep breath and looked toward Jude, wishing to offer her support, but she felt an unsettling knot form in her stomach. She sensed the danger creeping back in, that feeling of anxiety returning, threatening to upend everything they had worked for. But just as she thought things couldn't get worse, she caught sight of a woman in the crowd, eyes blazing as she shouted something she couldn't quite hear. Whatever she said, it stirred something chaotic in those gathered. The sirens of discontent were sounding. What if this was just the tip of the iceberg? Would they be able to navigate through the shifting tides of anger and fear? As Samantha stood watching the scene unfold, she felt the question hang heavy in the air: how deeply rooted were the troubles lurking in their community? And unwaveringly, she thought, were they really strong enough to face what lay ahead? Samantha's heart raced as she turned her attention back to the unfolding chaos. The woman's voice cut through the air like a knife, urgent and demanding. "This is all your fault. You know it," she shouted, pointing at the man who had sparked the outburst. The crowd shifted, segments breaking apart and reforming in a dance of confusion and fear. Jude held his ground. "Let us keep our cool, everyone. It's easy to get riled up. We're all here for the same reason," he called out, his voice strained but steady. Yet, the anger intensified, like a fire roaring to life with every accusation hurled in anger. Max tugged at Samantha's sleeve. "What if this gets worse? We've come so far," he whispered, vulnerability etched in his features. She could almost feel the storm brewing within him, and her own fears swelled in response. "Look, it doesn't have to go this way," Jude interjected, stepping a little closer to the man, who still seemed ready to erupt. "No one here wants trouble. Let us just talk about what happened." But the tall man shook his head, eyes narrowing. "No one pushed you. You think I'm just going to let this slide?" He stepped toward Jude, fists clenching at his sides, the threat palpable. A ripple of concern spread through the crowd, confusion crumbling the fragile bonds they had just begun to forge. Samantha took a step forward, her voice rising above the murmur. "Please, we're all scared. This isn't getting us anywhere." Her plea floated into the tense air, but the anger hung heavy between them, smothering her words. The woman suddenly pressed forward again, emotions boiling over. "You don't get it, do you? Every day, it's just one more thing to push us." She looked around frantically, searching for agreement. "We're tired. Tired of pretending everything is fine." Samantha's pulse quickened, and she shared a panicked glance with Jude. This was no longer just a disagreement, it was the collective weight of their community's struggles spilling into the open. The realization hit harder than a punch. Everyone was carrying their own burdens, and suddenly, they were all surfacing in one explosive moment. In that chaos, Samantha caught sight of Sarah in the distance, her small figure clinging to her mother's waist. The little girl's wide-eyed innocence made her own heart ache. Would they accept each other, or would they let the weight of resentment tear them apart? "Hey!" Jude's voice rang out again, louder and more urgent, cutting through the chaos. Everybody, listen. We need to come together, not tear each other apart. We all want the same thing, to feel safe and supported. Samantha watched as tension started to ebb, just for a moment. The man who had initially seemed so volatile paused, his brow furrowing as if Jude's words made him question his own anger. The crowd held its breath, hope flickered against the encroaching darkness, but just then, another shout broke through. "Mommy! Over here!" Sarah's voice rang out again, pure and innocent, cutting through the noise like a beam of light. The crowd's attention turned toward her, innocence shining in contrast to the turmoil. Jude turned toward Sarah, a spark igniting in his eyes. "See? That's what we need to focus on. Let us not forget the real reason we are here." But the shout from Sarah unleashed a flood of emotions. Each face in the crowd told a story, a mixture of resolve and fear, connection and division. Samantha felt the pressure mounting again. This was more than a momentary conflict, it was a test of their community's resilience. As the tension simmered, she realized they weren't just wrestling with a single moment, they were at the edge of something profound. Could they truly reconnect and push aside their pain, or was this divide too deep? And just as she feared the answer would slip away, an elderly man from the back of the crowd stepped forward, his voice tremoring yet filled with authority. "I have something to share." Samantha felt the air shift around her, her breath caught in anticipation. What truth lay behind his words? What could this moment unfold? The crowd hushed, every ear straining to catch the elderly man's words. His gnarled hands trembled slightly as he leaned on a cane, drawing eyes to the deep creases of his weathered face. His eyes, though clouded with age, sparkled with a rare intensity. "Back in the day," he began, his voice steady despite its frailty, "we faced storms much worse than this." He paused, letting his gaze sweep over the anxious faces before him. "We had our own worries, our own fears. But we found strength in each other. I want you all to remember that." His story began to weave its way through the crowd, capturing their attention like a fire catching dry brush. "When I was a boy, our town was hit by a flood. I saw friends lose everything. But what I remember most was how our community came together. Neighbors helping neighbors, sharing whatever food and supplies we had. We didn't wait for someone to rescue us, together, we stood, we fought. That's how we survived." Samantha felt something shift in the air as he spoke. The memories of hardship connected them all. The simmering anger began to recede, replaced by a flicker of unity. This was a reminder of resilience, something every one of them had in their blood. Jude stepped slightly closer, nodding along. "That's right. We all have our battles. And now, more than ever, we need to lift each other up instead of tearing each other apart. If we don't, we'll just lose what little we have left." "But it's hard," shouted a voice from the crowd, tinged with desperation. "So hard to trust when we feel so betrayed." The elderly man straightened, eyes narrowing slightly. "Trust," he said, echoing the sentiment, "is built, not given. It's not easy. But if we begin by facing our fears together, we can start to bridge this divide." Samantha felt her chest swell with both fear and hope. What if they could really do this? She looked at Max, who stood wide-eyed, absorbing the weight of the moment. Sarah was still clinging to her mother, but now her innocent face seemed to radiate an unspoken understanding of the gravity surrounding them. The elderly man continued, his voice growing stronger. "Every one of you has a story. Every one of you has pain. But if we don't share it, if we don't bond over it, how can we move forward? Each time we hold on to our anger, we give power to the very thing that divides us." His declaration echoed within Samantha, igniting something deep. Was it possible to give voice to their struggles? To weave together their pain into something beautiful? The murmurs of agreement swept over the crowd, fragments of voices melding into a gentle chorus. Samantha felt the air shift again, this time charged with a renewed energy that felt like electricity. They weren't just hopeless bystanders anymore. They were reminded of their shared humanity, but before anyone could fully respond, movement caught her eye. A figure at the back of the crowd darted forward, someone familiar. It was Olivia, a single mother from the neighborhood. Her eyes looked wild, glistening with tears. "What about me?" she cried, her voice cracking. "What about what I have to share?" Samantha's heartbeat quickened. Olivia had been struggling. Would her words add to the gathering momentum, or tear it apart again? As the crowd turned to face this new wave of tension, Samantha held her breath. What would Olivia reveal, and could it help them come together for real? Olivia stood at the edge of the crowd, trembling like a leaf caught in the wind. The eyes of the neighbors, once unfamiliar, now felt like the weight of the world on her shoulders. She had kept her struggles hidden, tucked away beneath layers of hope and societal expectation. But now, in this sea of faces, her pain bubbled to the surface. "Please listen to me," she begged, her voice wavering. "I've felt lost alone. I feel invisible. Every day, I wake up hoping for a miracle, just to keep our heads above water. I've fought tooth and nail to provide for my daughter. But sometimes, I wonder if I'm doing enough." As she spoke, Samantha's heart raced. She watched as tears streamed down Olivia's cheeks, each drop carrying the weight of countless sleepless nights and silent hardships. The crowd remained silent, their tension thick in the air, but slowly, it began to shift. Max, Samantha's younger brother, stepped forward. "You're doing more than enough, Olivia. We've all seen how hard you work to make ends meet." His sincerity penetrated the tension, like a soft light breaking through a cloudy day. "Yeah," chimed in a gruff man from the back, "I saw you shoveling snow off that elderly couple's driveway last week. You don't give up on anyone." The crowd murmured in agreement, and a few even nodded, warmth filling the space between them. For the first time, Olivia cracked a small smile, the kind that hinted at relief rather than defeat. Encouraged, she pressed on. "I'm scared that one day I won't be able to give her what she needs. What if I fail her?" The honesty in her words struck like a bell, ringing in the silence. "Olivia," the elderly man intervened, his voice deep and calming, "your fear is shared by many. But remember, vulnerability is not weakness, it's courage in its rawest form. By sharing your story, you've already begun to strengthen this community." Another wave of murmurs erupted, flowing through the crowd like a soothing balm. Slowly, people were connecting. They weren't just listening, they were empathizing, understanding, and feeling the weight of shared burdens. "I want to help," Jude said, stepping into the circle forming around Olivia. "Let's create something, maybe a fund, a volunteer group. We have to support each other." The excitement in his voice sparked others to join in, sharing ideas, passions, and resources. Samantha marveled at how the conversation blossomed, blooming from Olivia's heartfelt admission, but then a small, innocent voice cut through the air, bright and cheerful, completely out of place in the tension, "Mommy." The crowd parted slightly as a young girl with pigtails rushed forward, eyes filled with joy at spotting her mother. Olivia turned, sheer surprise washing over her, and her heart filled with a warmth that quickly banished the fear. "Sarah, sweetheart!" she shouted, arms wide open. As they embraced, a wave of collective emotion washed over everyone. But the moment felt strange, it carried an unexplainable undercurrent. A feeling that this reunion was about more than just a mother and daughter. What secret lay behind the sudden appearance? What had Olivia hidden that could change everything? Samantha could see the questions mirrored in the faces around her, holding their breath as they waited for the next moment. The crowd fell quiet once more, but this time their hearts beat in unison with a mix of anticipation and hope. The connection amongst them felt electric, ready to leap into the unknown. "Olivia, wait!" someone called out, a voice tinged with urgency. "What do you need to tell us?" Samantha's heart raced. The uncertainty in the air was thick with promise. Would Olivia deliver yet another truth that could pull them all even closer together? What revelation would unfold next? As Olivia knelt to embrace Sarah, the crowd fell even quieter, drawn into a world that felt far too intimate for the moment. The little girl squeezed her tightly, oblivious to the weighty atmosphere surrounding them. She pulled back, her bright eyes sparkling with innocence. "Guess what, Mommy? I made a drawing for you. It's a heart." Olivia's heart swelled at her daughter's enthusiasm. "Oh, honey, I can't wait to see it," she replied, momentarily forgotten were her fears as she savored this heartbeat of joy, but then a flicker of apprehension crossed Olivia's face, and the smiles faded for a moment, replaced by a shadow of worry. There was so much unspoken between them, secrets coiling tighter than the little girl's pigtails. Olivia swallowed hard, her thoughts racing. This moment could change everything. "Sarah," she began, looking into her daughter's eyes, "there's something we need to talk about." Samantha felt her stomach drop, knowing the weight those words carried. Everyone, even the gruff man from the back, leaned in a little closer. "Mommy?" Sarah asked, no longer beaming. Her innocence seemed to hesitate at the change in her mother's tone. In that silence, Olivia glanced around the gathering. The community had come together in a way she'd never imagined possible. Could she really share what was lurking in the shadows? She took a deep breath, her heart pounding like a drum in her chest. "I've been holding some things back," she started, searching for the right words. "Things that I thought I could handle alone." Her voice trembled as she continued, "Things about our life, our past." The audience was locked in, breaths came collectively and sharply, a palpable sense of urgency in the air. "What do you mean?" Jude asked, stepping forward, genuine concern etched on his face. Olivia hesitated, casting a lingering gaze at Sarah, who still looked bewildered. "When I found out I was pregnant with Sarah, I was alone, so alone. I was at a crossroads where I couldn't just ignore my past anymore. I made decisions that seemed right, but," she bit her lip, tears sparkling in her eyes. "But they led me to places I didn't think I'd ever come back from." Samantha's heart raced. Each word hung heavy, yet felt like a final piece gathering in a puzzle, and the picture wasn't pretty. "Before Sarah came into my life," her voice faltered, and she swallowed hard. "I was in a dark place. I was struggling with addiction, battling demons that were stronger than me." Gasps echoed in the crowd, disbelief washing over many of the faces as the truth hit home. "I've worked hard to leave that life behind, but not everything from then is gone." Olivia paused, the weight of her confession evident as she reached for Sarah, who began to cry softly, sensing her mother's pain. "I've kept you safe, sweetheart, but sometimes, the past doesn't just fade away." A murmur rippled through the crowd. It was a mix of support and a lingering fear of what Olivia's truth could mean for them. Members of the community glanced at one another, some unsure how to react, while others voiced their support. "Olivia, you're brave," Max said, his voice steady. "We will help you through this." But Olivia could feel the chasm between her and Sarah widening, the little girl's trust beginning to hang by a thread. "Mommy, what are you saying?" Sarah asked, tears rolling down her cheeks now. And just like that, amidst the understanding and support, the crowd held its breath once more, wondering what would come next. Would Olivia's past shadow her reality and affect her connection to her daughter? Just then, Samantha noticed movement behind Olivia. Another figure appeared, someone familiar but unexpected, someone who had been part of Olivia's past. The sense of inevitability crashed over her. What would they reveal about Olivia's hidden struggles? As the crowd fell into shocked silence, the next revelation hung in the air, vibrating with uncertainty. Would hope triumph over the shadows of the past? The gasps of the crowd seemed to echo in Olivia's ears as she turned slowly, her heart racing. There, framed by the sunlight filtering through the trees, stood Marcus. He looked older and more worn than she remembered, his eyes shadowed yet alive with an intensity that sent waves of memories flooding back. "Marcus," Olivia whispered, a mix of dread and longing washing over her. The silence around them thickened, the community was wary, holding their breath, uncertain of what this reunion might unearth. "Olivia," he said finally, his voice cracking slightly. "I know this isn't how I wanted to come back into your life, but we need to talk." Samantha stepped closer to Olivia, protective instinct kicking in. She eyed Marcus carefully. She had heard the tales. He was not just a name from Olivia's shadowy past, he was part of the darkness that had loomed over it. Sarah clutched Olivia's leg tightly, her presence a reminder of everything that had changed since those dark days. "Mommy, who is he?" Her small voice trembled, innocence piercing through the heavy tension. "Just someone I used to know," Olivia replied, forcing a brave smile, though her heart felt like it was sinking. "Someone who made a lot of mistakes," Marcus interjected, his face earnest. "But I've been clean for a year now. I'm trying to do better." Olivia ached to believe him, but skepticism clawed at her throat. "You left, Marcus. You chose to walk away from the life we could have had." "It's complicated." He took a step forward, and Olivia instinctively backed up, eyeing the crowd as they murmured among themselves. "What do you want?" she demanded, keeping her voice steady. "Why are you here now?" "I need to tell you the truth, the whole truth," he said, glancing nervously at the crowd, then back at Olivia. "About Sarah. There's something you don't know." The words hit Olivia like a bolt of lightning. A sick feeling swirled in her stomach. What could he possibly know that she didn't? She felt hot blood rush to her face. "No. You don't get to do this to us." But Marcus pressed on, his voice earnest. "Olivia, please. I had my demons. I made terrible choices. But I can't let you raise her unaware. She deserves to know who she really is." The weight of his words plunged the crowd into a new kind of stillness. In the backdrop, Samantha's expression shifted, concern melding into disbelief. "He's lying, right?" she whispered to Max, whose brow furrowed. "Mommy, what does he mean?" Sarah asked, looking up at Olivia with wide, confused eyes. Olivia knelt down, trying to keep her expression calm. "Whatever he says, it doesn't change how much I love you." But, deep down, she felt the foundations of that love shaking. "Love isn't enough, Olivia," Marcus's voice broke through, challenging her facade. "You need to protect her with the truth." Time swirled around them, the air crackled with unspoken revelations. Olivia sensed the crowd began to lean forward, eager for the unraveling. As her heart raced with fear and an overwhelming need to guard her daughter, a flicker of doubt took hold. What if her reality was built on a lie? Could Marcus's return offer more than just shadows? Could it be a key to something brighter, or would it pull her deeper into the darkness? Just as uncertainty pooled around them, Olivia's phone buzzed wildly in her pocket, a message that could change everything. Her pulse quickened as she reached for it, but her eyes remained glued to Marcus. "Mommy?" Sarah's small voice insisted, confusion creasing her brow. "What is happening?" The moment thickened with anticipation, and Olivia realized this was more than just a reunion. It was the beginning of a revelation that would alter every corner of their lives. How could she find the courage to face whatever lay ahead? And as she opened the message, the question hung heavy in the air: what truth would Marcus unveil next? Olivia stood in the middle of the thrumming crowd, a million feelings swirling inside her. Marcus's presence felt both like a storm and a flicker of dawn, both bright and darkening, promising yet terrifying. She clutched Sarah tightly, wanting to shield her from what could come next. "Sarah," she said softly, kneeling so their eyes met. "Whatever he says, I need you to know how much I love you. Nothing will change that." Her heart ached at the fear in her daughter's eyes, that little flicker of doubt now etched on the innocent face she adored so much. Yet, deep down, Olivia felt the icy grip of uncertainty. "Please, Olivia," Marcus pressed, his tone earnest, eyes pleading as he took another step forward. "I came here to tell you the truth about Sarah, about her father." The words hung in the air like a heavy fog, each one slipping through the crowd's murmurs, their eyes darting back and forth in anticipation. Olivia felt herself sink into a whirlpool of memories, the good ones and the haunting ones. The laughter, the love, the moments of despair and regret. "Can you leave us alone?" Her voice trembled as fear crept back into her throat. It was a moment for her to strike back, but she felt small against the tide, but Sarah was tugging on her sleeve, confusion evident. "Mommy, what is he talking about? Who is my dad?" The naive question struck like a lightning bolt, the clarity cutting through the chaos. The look on Marcus's face twisted into something vulnerable. "You need to be honest with her," he urged slowly. "She deserves to know about her real father, about what happened. This isn't the person you think I am." Time stood still. Samantha exchanged glances with Jude, both of them grasping the weight of the moment. The community around them had grown quiet, gripped by a collective breath. "Do you really need to do this now?" Olivia whispered, desperation creeping into her words. "Can't you see how happy we are?" But the truth clawed at Marcus's throat. "You're building a life here, Olivia. But if you're building it on a lie, how can you be free? She deserves to know." Olivia turned away, frustration morphing into something more profound. "Pain. You left me," she snapped, her voice breaking as anger welled up. It was a mixture of love and bitterness that felt all too familiar. "You chose your past, your demons over us. Because I was scared." Marcus shot back, raw honesty spilling from him. "But I'm better now. I want to be the father she deserves, if you'll let me." Samantha stepped closer, instinctively protective. The warmth of her support was palpable, a lifeline in a churning sea. "Olivia," she said gently, "whatever might come of this, facing it together can only bring more light." Olivia's heart raced, caught in a whirlwind of emotions. The distinct sound of laughter faded, leaving space instead for vulnerability. Could they really navigate this tumultuous path together? Her heart flared with doubt. "Mommy." Sarah's voice rose, trying to break the tension. "Is he my dad?" In that moment, the silence transformed heavy like a curtain drawn over the future. Oliva leaned down, brushing a thumb against Sarah's cheek. "Sweetheart," her voice trembled, "there are things we need to talk about, but it doesn't mean I love you any less." Yet, in a small corner of her heart, doubt loomed. Or that life needs to change. As she struggled to keep her composure, the crowd shifted subtly yet held their breath, intently listening, eager for the outcome of this emotional reckoning. Samantha's eyes were locked on Olivia, unwavering hope reflected within them. At the edge of the gathering, Jude stepped further into the light. "Look around. This is a community built on the truth, right? We've come together, your truth, everyone's truth. We need each other." Sarah's voice trembled yet radiated innocence. "I love you, Mommy. Can't we just be a family?" Olivia swallowed hard at her daughter's words, feeling the stinging warmth of tears welling in her eyes. The child's plea resonated within, striking a chord of longing even deeper than fear. "Sarah," Marcus interjected softly, leaning toward her. "We could all be a family. But I need your mom to choose this life, to believe in it." In that moment, something shifted. The air felt charged, exhilarating. Every pair of eyes turned toward Olivia, urging her to confront her fears. Max squeezed Samantha's hand, his youthful spirit a beacon of hope. "We'll help, right, Jude? We're family too." A spark ignited within Olivia. Perhaps this was not just about her past and her pain. It was about courage, connection, and a pathway toward healing. Maybe they could redefine what family means together. Taking a deep breath, Olivia mustered every shred of strength inside her. "I want to share this truth. Even if it's scary. I owe that to Sarah." The crowd erupted in murmurs of support, like waves of certainty crashing against the shores of uncertainty, reflecting victory and compassion. Sarah's eyes lit up, and Olivia knelt to hold her tightly. "It means we're all in this together," she said firmly, voice steadying as if claiming a spot in the world she longed for. Marcus looked on, gratitude flickering across his features. "Thank you for listening. We can do this together." As the warmth of connection enveloped them, Olivia allowed herself to nod. This wasn't the end, it was a beginning. They could build something real, something authentic. And for the first time in years, she felt hope flourish in her heart, a guiding light illuminating the shadows. They were ready to embrace whatever lay ahead. Together, they would rewrite their stories. As the surging emotions echoed throughout the people gathered, Samantha turned to the group with a smile that lit up her face. "Let us celebrate this new journey." Cheers erupted from the crowd, laughter blending in like colors splashing across a canvas. This was the moment where stories would intertwine, hands would bridge gaps, and hope would be born anew. The Maplewood Community Fair would carry on, but now, painted with bonds strong enough to transcend the past, a vibrant tapestry woven from dreams that could lift them all. As those around them joined in the celebration, dancing and embracing newfound hope, the message was clear: they didn't need to navigate their journeys alone. In every laugh, tear, and whispered promise, they knew they could face the future together, and so, they stepped forward, breaking free to remake their world anew. If you felt the impact of this story and the joy of transformation, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive journeys. This is the moment to show your support. If this moved you, leave a like now to feed the algorithm and boost hope for others. I want to hear your reactions. Comment below with your feelings about this powerful ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Life can change, and together, we can create waves of hope.